It has been we're recording now. It's been a wild ride. We were hoping to be in person in January, and our new variant had other plans for us. So we just pull out our old teacher hat and monitor and adjust, and here we are online once again. So we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we will do is we will drop this presentation into the chat and let you sign in. Let me get the link real quick and I'll drop that in the chat for you. There you go. So now you'll have the presentation already, and where you see the word here, you'll be able to click on that and go ahead and sign in. So we don't have a very long meeting for you today. We're just going to go over some professional updates, some legislative updates that we have at this time, and then we'll hear from the State Department and have a little bit of time for breakout into topics of concern and our book club. So we'll start with professional organizational updates with Ms. Kathy Jones-Stewart.
Thanks, Emily. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. In regards to professional organization updates, we don't have anything really new to share. I will say that the South Carolina Council of Teachers of English Conference is going on now as we speak in Myrtle Beach. So you're either there or you're not. So if you're here, you're not there, and that's water under the bridge. So with that said, let me do a little shameless plug for the Palmetto State Literacy Association Conference coming up in February 24th through the 26th in Hilton Head. As pretty much usual, the conference theme, literacy and justice for all. A number of you and some of your teachers and coaches and others are registered. It is not too late to register. You can actually register on site, but we encourage everybody to register prior to that. I will add that early bird registration does end on Monday, and there's a link in the presentation to register for that. That'll save you a little money, as will joining Palmetto State Literacy and registering as a member as opposed to a non-member. If you go to, I think there's another slide, maybe Mary Beth. If you go actually to the palmettostateliteracy.org and then annual conference, you can find everything there related to the overview session schedule. I will say that it's a draft because it changes daily with a little timing shift here and there. But on this slide, you'll see our two keynote speakers for our opening session on Friday afternoon and then our closing session on Saturday afternoon. In addition to Dr. Lester Laminack and Dr. Adolph Brown, neither of whom you want to miss. There are a number of other featured speakers and authors. And if you go to this page and kind of scroll down, you'll see like two pictures of two featured authors or two featured speakers. And under that, there are some dots. If you'll click that, it'll scroll through the entire list. We don't have the actual breakout sessions posted yet, but we have about 50 breakout sessions in addition to our keynotes. So I just wanted to let you know about that. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be a great conference. The question that we've been getting more recently than anything else is that it appears that the hotels are sold out. That's not true. You need to register, or secure your room through the lodging link on the Palmetto State Literacy Association website rather than going to the hotel website, because in essence, the hotels are blocked for the conference. So if you go to Marriott Hilton Head, it's gonna look like it's sold out, and it's not. So anyway, so just wanted to give you a little update reminder of what's going on at the conference. And as far as I'm concerned, or to my knowledge, there's really nothing else that I had access to share in regards to other organizations. Seems like if conferences are scheduled for this year, that they're actually already held, or like I said, SCCTE is in progress right now. So if you have suggestions for other organizations you'd like for me to provide updates around, I'll be happy to do that. Just drop that in the chat and we can make that happen with our next meeting, which will be in March. So thanks so much for all of your support of the conference, and I look forward to seeing so many of y'all there.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, so we have some legislative updates for you. I'm not going to read them all, but this comes from our SCASA report that comes out usually on Friday afternoon. So be expecting new updates this week. But I put those in there for you just to if you don't get the SCASA legislative update, so that you would have access to that as well. So this is not for this week. This is for last week. But they heard some testimony in subcommittee in the Senate on the school choice bill with transferring those funds. So, of course, SCASA was opposed to that, and you can see there in the bullets. And if we go to the next slide, you can see what was happening over in the House in the Education and Public Works Committee. And so I'm not going to read through those, but you can just see those there. And then if we just keep on scrolling through, the last thing that happened this week, and I'll link the agenda there for you, is the 5 bills dealing with critical race theory. And so I just linked that there for you, and just be looking probably from the legislative update that will come out today, or at the very least on Monday, of what was happening this week at the State House. Okay, so that brings us a little bit early, but over to the South Carolina Department of Education. Okay, do we have them?
Good morning. It took me a second.
Welcome, Rebecca.
It's great to see most of y'all again. I know there is that conference this weekend. We don't have a lot from assessment this month, but we did want to, if you'll go to the next slide and go one more. We did want to let you know that the website has changed. I don't know if you all have had an opportunity to go look at it. So we put together a few slides just to show you how to find the assessment resources. And then if you will click on the data review reports title, there's a little video that will walk you through that Mandy was nice enough to put together for us. And we thought this might be something easy to share with your teachers. So that's LinkedIn. We also put it in the notes. And we just wanted to give you just a little bit of an overview. This is new for us too, so I haven't had time to fully explore all of it, only a few things. So we just wanted to make sure that you could find the assessment resources, particularly the data review report, since they just released on January 15th. So if you will go to the next slide. And this just shows you, once you go into educators, if you go to the left side and click under instruction, it will say assessments. Go to the next one. And that will take you straight to the quick links for teachers, which is where all of the assessment resources are housed. Go to the next one. And then you'll see test data review reports. So the layout of this page is almost exactly like it was on the older website. So go ahead and go to the next one. And then that's where you can find the new data review reports for each content area that we test. And we just happen to highlight ELA for you. So go ahead and go to the next one. Marquita.
Good morning. We just wanted to give you a few highlights from the data review report. This is for grades 3-5. So each of the categories is listed here along with some comments. The main area of concern that we did discuss was the DOK levels in the classroom. So just make sure that teachers are asking questions, like a lot of questions at each DOK level. Don't just stay on DOK 1 or 2, but also talk about DOK 3. Thank you.
And for the 6-8 data review report, and we linked these into the slides as well, to save you a step if you don't want to go to the website. One thing that the committee recommended is to send everyone back to the 2019 TDA data review report to revisit the information in that. And the area of concern that the committee noted for 6-8 was the ability to analyze the development of theme, not identify, but the development. And so this document just lays out kind of the vertical articulation of those grade level indicators, starting with grade 5, so that we can encourage our 6th grade teachers to kind of take a look back to see what's going on in grade 5. And then they went through a text and gave some examples of how the author uses parts of the text to develop the theme. And then again, they also wanted to remind, just like what Marquita said, that the DOK levels of questions used in the classroom don't just live in DOK range 1, go into levels 2 and 3. Next slide, please. The English 2 committee went in a totally different direction. They wanted to focus on communication 4.1 and 4.3. And they've done this by providing a list of mentor text speeches. They chose a variety of types, variety of speakers, links, complexity, and they've given some suggested ways to use those speeches in the classroom. When you look at the document, there's a vertical articulation of 4.1 and 4.3. And we also encourage you to get your 9th grade teachers to look at this, because those standards, those communication standards, changed dramatically from grade 8 to grade 9. And there's a lot of new language and new skills that are introduced in grade 9. All of you know this, but teachers you may need to call their attention to that, just so that they know this was not something that was covered in middle school, because it wasn't in the standards. Next slide.
These are a few reminders that we had that we just wanted to bring back to your attention. The TDA standalone field test is happening this spring. Also, we have received a few questions. So just a reminder that the passage booklets were discontinued last school year, so those aren't coming back. The memo went out, so if you need a copy of that memo, just email us and we can send it to you. And also, we will be releasing sample TDAs for each grade level, for grades 3 through 8 in the fall.
Good
Casey.
morning. Marquita, did I step on you?
Nope, I was just saying, Casey, it's your turn.
Thank you. I have it
Wait,
exciting.
one sec.
Yes,
Hey, Casey, miss you.
I
Okay,
miss you.
bye.
For those of you that were not at the November meeting, or maybe you didn't see that recorded session, I just wanted to take a quick second to introduce myself. Good to be with you this morning. My name is Casey Cook. You may know I have left District 5, and my partner and one of my dear friends, Dr. Robin Cox, whom I miss terribly. But I am at the State Department now, and I work with Rebecca and Marquita and Mandy and Tabitha. And I started back in November. So I was at District 5 for, I can't even remember. It was over a decade, and I spent the last 8 years as a specialist for secondary ELA, and Robin was my partner, and I miss her terribly. But I will say that at my time at District 5, when I started that position, a lot of teachers, because we had a good bit of turnover previously in some of our ELA positions, wanted to wait me out and thought that I might be in and out fairly quickly, but I was committed in there 8 years. But it took about 8 years to build relationships, and certainly trusting relationships, and I'm looking forward to doing the same here from the State Department perspective. So I'm excited. I'm the secondary ELA education associate and the team lead for ELA, social studies, and math. So I've got my work cut out for me. Good to be with you all. Thank you for having me. I am excited to introduce you to Dr. Abby Duggins. She is our partner in the standards writing process, and I'm going to turn it over to her so she can introduce herself to all of you. Welcome, Dr. Duggins.
Thanks, Casey, so much. And hi, everyone. I'm Abby Duggins. I'm honored to partner with the State Department of Education on this important work on the ELA standards. For those of you who don't know me, I just want to share a bit of information about my background experience. But if you've been a part of this group for a while, you may remember me as serving on the SCLL board about a decade ago. I also served as president in 2014-15. Literacy has always been my passion. I started my career as a middle school ELA teacher in Saluda County back in 2002 and was a middle school and high school reading coach before entering the administrative world. Even though most of my practitioner experience has been at the secondary level, I do have a master's and PhD from USC in language and lit, as many of you guys do also. That language and lit program is so strong. So my knowledge definitely does span the K-12 spectrum. We have heard the wishes and wants of the field, and we thank you guys for your passion and voice. We know how important this work is. Our ultimate goal in this work is to refine and polish the existing resources and ensure that our final product aligns vertically and is appropriate in complexity. We also want to make sure that we're really concise in our standards language so that all of our students are served in the best way possible. We know that there's a sense of urgency to get these standards right and get them back out to the field. And so our hope is to have the final product ready to be sent to the State Board of Education and the Educational Oversight Committee for review before the end of this calendar year. Expect a lot more updates and information in future SCLL meetings, but we just wanted to kind of show you where we are, where we're jumping into the work, and provide that information to you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. We're so excited to have you, and we're excited to start this work. So looking forward to more updates and more to come. Thank you for progressing that slide. So just a quick update. A couple of months ago, I think around September, several of our SCLL friends completed a survey that was sent out by Mandy and Tabitha, just seeking ways to support you all in ways that are meaningful to you and helpful to you. We spent several hours really dissecting the responses that you gave us. And we looked for patterns. We looked for areas where we get frequent requests for support. And we compiled another survey, but it's very short. I think there are only 2 items. So if you wouldn't mind, we also put a link. You've got the presentation, so you can click directly there on professional learning opportunities and support. But also we added the link at the bottom in the presentation that we shared. So if somebody could drop that in the chat, that might be helpful too for those who maybe haven't opened the presentation yet. But what we're looking for now is we've narrowed down your request. Again, we focused some of those patterns, put together, I think about 7 or so options. So in order for us to be really intentional and to do the research that we need to do in order to support, if you would take a moment and open that survey link and let us know what your top 3 areas of importance for support are. We're just looking for ways that we can focus our research and focus our support for the field. And we'd love to have your feedback. Again, this was taken from your responses back in September, I believe. And we've narrowed that down to the options that you see here in the survey. And we thank you so much. And of course, if there's anything we can do for you, if we can support you in any way, reach out to us via email, and we're happy to meet with you and see what we can do to support the work that you all are doing in your fields. So thank you.
Thank you, Casey. All right, Mary Beth, if you would just back up one more slide. I'll give everybody a few minutes to complete that survey. It won't take very long. And then I did see that Dr. Moore was on the call, so we'll invite her to join us. And before we do that, I see a couple of questions have come in the chat. Casey, would you mind addressing any of the questions that came up?
I just looked at the chat. I see the one from Laurie. Laurie, we don't have an answer for that yet. We are just kind of creating our partnership with Abby. We don't have teams put together yet. We're still trying to plan for the work ahead. As soon as we do know, I promise we will communicate that out to the field. I'm scrolling, so forgive my pause. to see if there are any other questions that I have not addressed. And certainly, you can share your questions in the follow-up surveys like you normally do, and we can try to respond to those in that way, or you can email us directly with other questions. But at this point, we are really just designing our process and have not created teams at this time. But as soon as we know more, we will let you know.
Thank you. And I think that was all the questions. I'm looking through to see if I see any more. Did anyone else have any questions for the Office of Assessment and Standards? Okay. If you think of something that you would like to ask, then you can definitely put that in your sign-in for today. There is a clarity question here I just saw. Will the standards be finalized by the end of this school year or the end of 2022?
As Abby mentioned, our goal is to have our draft of the final product ready to be sent to the board and to the EOC by the end of the calendar year. So by the end of December of this year.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank y'all. Dr. Moore, if you'd like to come on into the call. And I think Taylor is in here as well. Nope, I don't see her in here.
Good morning. I
Good
am here.
morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Dr. Moore.
Did Taylor get in?
I don't see her in here. I'll send her a personal invite
Okay.
real quick.
She was trying to get in, and so we could let her in. And Marie Gibbons is on the call as well. So if you've got read to succeed questions, Marie is your person, and if you've got data questions, Taylor is your person. I've got a couple of slides if Taylor gets in and can pull those up, or I don't know,
Yep.
Marie. Taylor, yay!
I'm here. Yep.
All right, so I'll give her a minute to pivot because I know she was trying to get in. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over a few reminders that I had brought to the team, to your group this morning, and then try to answer the questions that you had submitted to me as I am doing so. And certainly we'll take questions at the end if there are other ones you didn't have a chance to submit some questions. So first of all, Leaders Making Readers is next month. February is a big month for conferences. So I know you at the start of the meeting have one going on now and have another one in February. But I hope as many of you can attend the Leaders Making Readers and conference. It started out, really as a direct response to Read to Succeed. But we have tried to morph that now into, meeting the needs that you are asking us. So we take those survey results at the end of each conference and really study that and then try to offer the things that you would like in that space. It's an all-day event, but you certainly can come in and out as you can and wish. We don't have any issue with that. Jackie Wiseman works with us on this, and she'll record all of the sessions and then have that for you to view as well. But a couple of questions on summer reading camp. I'm going to jump down to the bottom and kind of, please just bear with me. I'm trying to answer the questions. One of the things we like to do with Leaders Making Readers, is totally work around summer reading camp. So we've made a few changes to the monitoring tool, and so we'll highlight that for you at the Leaders Making Readers conference. We feel like that is the right space. But if you look at my last bullet, you should plan as usual for the upcoming summer. As I know right now, there have been no changes there. I know someone had asked, one of the questions that you had, are there going to be any special considerations regarding good cause exemptions for Read to Succeed, given students have been educated in a less than normal setting for the last 2 years? And right now, the legislation has not provided any flexibility in regards to the retention requirement. That's where we are right now, January 28th. School and districts are encouraged to use, as I say, Marie says all the time, a team approach. We totally believe in the lap folders having that appropriate evidence that you need to make your decisions. But you should have a team of professionals and make recommendations to the superintendent. And then the superintendent has that final decision on retention. So just a reminder there. Also, the partnership grant, the community partnership grant applications are due the next week. We tried to make that change a couple years ago so that there usually is a session, at least one, on the partnership grant. We try to highlight folks that have received that award and some cool ideas. So we now made that deadline for the next week. So that is the case. If you've got any questions about that, Abeline Hanna is your contact there. And when you get these slides, Taylor has done such a nice job of linking all the things right in the PowerPoint, so you can go right to these documents if you need them. I don't know that there's anybody. I think we may have 2 districts that are out that have not submitted their Palmetto Literacy Project curriculum funding. I've spoken to one, and I know Marie has spoken to most everybody else. So we may be all right there. We weren't at 4:30 yesterday, but by 5:30 we were. So very excited. That's over 230 schools that have made selections in that space. And following that, we sent out the memo to each of the 5 publishers and have given them clear directions on what expectations are. And my first expectation is this: the district person that entered the selection, the K-5 curriculum choice, is the publisher's point of contact. I asked them, as I did back in November, do not contact the schools individually. Go through the district contact and let the district person tell you how that process is going to work. And so some of you may be that district contact. So they got the green light yesterday afternoon. So I'll bet you'll get a call today. And then they are working through the logistics of all those pieces. There's no way I can man that. So I'm counting on those 5 vendors to work specifically with the district contact. But if you want them working with the school, that is certainly up to you. Last year, reading plans in the last actually 2 years, we feel really good about that October date, because by that time you've had all of your data in from the summer, and you can really take time to write some good goals that are appropriate. So that's going to be the case again this year. That information will come out a little later on, but I just like to put it on your radar in case you have thoughts, wonder where they're going. It's going to be the same. Also, a survey on CERDEP expansion went out last week, I believe, last Tuesday maybe. So we've begun to get responses in. So Wendy Burgess is your contact there. So if you've got any questions about expansion in the CERDEP realm, just reach out to her. Also, we sent out maybe about that same time some of the PLOs that we're offering, and we've attached that memo that went out, as well as the work that's going on with our learning engagement coaches. So they're a very good resource. We have 5 of those that are regionally located around the state. So somebody serves you, and they have to have quarterly meetings, and their goal is to work with parents So if you've got a good parent educator that you want to get hooked up, please take a look at that memo. Wendy Burgess supervises those folks as well, but they are working specifically in some districts and working with local libraries. So if they can help you, please let them do so. And then we just put some links that we felt like you might want to have kind of at your disposal. So the web page for the Learning Engagement Coach, the Early Learning Standards, as well as a parent-friendly version, Palmetto Pre-K portal, and the Birth to Five portal. Just all those things that I think you might want at your disposal. So we just dropped them right there. I'm going to say what Kathy did. I always take the time to have a shameless plug for the roadmap. Dr. Mathis is really kind of pushing on me to keep pushing this in front of folks because I do believe it's a good resource. I will tell you, this was written last spring. So we're going to take a look. I know one link that was specific to COVID has now gone away. So we're gonna work on this and try, certainly by Leaders Making Readers, to get an edited new version, if you will. So that will be coming out. But there's just some good resources that I think you may find helpful to you. And so the document is right in this PowerPoint, but in these 5 spaces of leadership and data systems and core instruction and interventions and key supports, there's just things that I think you may find helpful at all levels. And so I will just offer that to you. I bring this up because I find this interesting. I've presented a couple of times in January, and everybody on the group is familiar with the profile of the South Carolina graduate, and hopefully as well with the competencies that Stephanie D'Stasio's office has aligned with this. But a profile that you might not be familiar with is the profile of a ready kindergartner. And so I was in a district administrator training a few weeks ago, and I was amazed at the folks that did not know about this profile. So I'm dropping it here for you as well, because our office supports little people all the way to graduation. So we like to say if we get the kindergartners ready, then we certainly have a better chance of meeting that profile of the South Carolina graduate. So I'll give you both of those. And then let me talk a little bit about a couple of things. You had questions about letters. Marie, if you don't mind, maybe drop the letters webpage into the chat, because working with that group, we've created a South Carolina letters webpage, and Superintendent Spearman did an unbelievable job kind of as a person with some testimony there. So Marie, if you can, drop that in the chat. But we jumped off cycle 1 back in August. That was somewhere around 8 districts, maybe 20 schools, and about 500 educators. Cycle 2, we jumped off in, well, she's left the meeting, so maybe she can't do it. We'll get it to you, okay? Cycle 2, we jumped off in January. And I think there's one district that has a February date, but that was almost double. 15 districts, 44 schools, around 1,000 educators. So we've got at least 1,500 folks kind of in the pipeline outside of our team that has begun Unit 8. I put them on the fast track so they could support the districts that they serve. They've been through one round of facilitator training, and they'll take the other facilitator training in March. Then in August, cycle 3 will jump off, which is a majority of the districts, 50 districts, over 150 schools, and probably somewhere around 35 to 4,000 educators. So very excited about this opportunity for our educators. One of your questions is it mandatory? I can quote the laws, the provisos, 1.60 and 1A.53, which give the department the opportunity to provide provide professional development. So that's how I like to say it, but the answer is yes. Those buckets that I ask you to choose and place and work with is K-3 teachers and assistants, special ed teachers and assistants, reading coach, administrators. I have had wiggle room with the assistants because y'all, if you can embed the training during the day, working with Mackenzie Castile, great. But if you can't, then I don't want anybody in a position having to pay assistants overtime. That's not part of what we want to do here. So there's some wiggle room there. And I believe I've answered, I've talked with a number of you about the way you want to work it in your district, but you can come to me with any question. I'll be happy to answer that. But Mackenzie is, as you get your calendars for the new school year, she is working right now setting up cycle 3 training. We've got cycle 2 going now, so she'll be contacting you or you contact her as you are ready to set up that training in cycle 3. I think I've answered the questions, maybe with exception 1. There's been a rumor about Read to Succeed coach funding going away. Absolutely, that's not anything to my knowledge. The legislation still contains language for the provision of reading coaches. So I do not have any indication of that at all. And I think that I've answered your questions, but I certainly will allow, please. Oh, there's Marie. Yay, she must have went and jumped and found it. So there's the letters webpage for you. I'd love for you to just preview that. I think you'll find some great resources there as well. So if there's any questions, I'll certainly entertain those at this time. Okay. Emily, look at there. Okay.
You answered them all.
Well,
All right. Thank
I-
you.
Well, as always, it's a pleasure to be with y'all. I always enjoy, this time together and appreciate the opportunity for us to speak from our department. Taylor, Marie, myself, Wendy, anybody will help as you need us. Please know that is our goal, to help you in any way, because we just so appreciate what you do every day. So thank you. And I will leave you to your business.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moore. All right, guys, that brings us to professional learning. Have a wonderful weekend.